Hello, everyone. This is Faye, and I sell Medicare plans. So I'm going to start a series of how to prepare for AEP. There'll probably be about 3 different videos in this series because it gets long, but step by step and a little bit at a time, it's easier for you to digest. So this might be your first AEP, annual enrollment period for Medicare sales, or your last AEP, or it could be your second, third, fourth, or one of many. And the main thing is, no matter which one it is, you are wanting this AEP to be your best AEP. So we all know what AEP means, so I don't have to keep saying annual enrollment period. You know, it's that time when actually, as a Medicare professional, most Medicare professionals will make 40% of their annual income for the next year. And why is that? It's because during this time, every Medicare beneficiary has an opportunity to look at their current plan and make changes between October 15th and December 7th. We can start as insurance professionals to talk to people about those changes and what's available for them for 2025 starting on October 1st. So get ready because this year, with the new Inflation Reduction Act pieces that are going into effect for January 1, it is understood that instead of 30% of the people who usually look at changes during this time, it will probably be closer to 70 or 80%. And if you have customers already, you are definitely going to want to be in touch with them in September to prepare them to watch out for their annual notice of change so that you are able to go ahead and set those review appointments starting October 1 or October 2nd. So getting them ready, because retention is equally as important as adding new people. But with the increased number of people who are going to be asking about what's going on in 2025, it opens a new opportunity for every one of us. This business has its ups and downs, but this year, that annual enrollment period is going to really mean a lot for you if you want to make it your best AEP ever. So where do you start? Let me just look at my notes here because I got a lot to tell you and I don't want to get off course. So the first thing is setting your AEP goal. So there will be some of you who will write 30 Medicare applications during AEP. There will be some of you who will write 130 applications for Medicare during the AEP, and there will be some of you who will be somewhere in between. How you get to this number will all be dependent upon what it is that you want to do and the goal you set for yourself. Now, how do you set those goals so that it works within what you are capable of doing? First of all, think about the number of hours that you want to work every day. So if you're working Medicare business full-time, consider this: you are employed by yourself. So if you were working for someone else, you'd have to report to work at a certain time. You need to report to work at that time. And you'd be able to take a lunch break and maybe a restroom break in between, but then you work until that workday is over. So set up that workday for yourself if you're doing this full time. If you're doing it part-time and you have another job that you're doing, figure out how long does it take you to get home from your current job. What are the responsibilities that you need to do and the tasks you need to take care of at home when you get home? How long does it take you to cook dinner? How long does it take you to help the kids with their homework? How long does it take you to do the laundry? How long is it going to take you to do what you got to do? And what days then are you going to be available to work for yourself, to punch the clock for yourself in the evenings? How many evenings per week can you do that? And what hours are you going to actually punch in and punch out on Saturday and Sunday? Does that make sense? Those are your free days. And from what I understand, if someone can work 8 hours in this Medicare business, you can still see an increase in the number of people that you're adding because you know your product, you know how to present your product, and it's all about getting in front of people. So the first thing is you got to write down and have it on a calendar, put it in your phone, put it in a digital calendar, put it in a printed calendar. What are the days and times that you're working? That's when you're going to actually punch in to your self-employed job at those times. And no matter what happens, let your family know, let your friends know you are actually working. So it'll be just like you were going to work at the post office. Nobody at the post office that's selling stamps behind the counter can actually be on the phone all day with their friends and family. So you won't be able to do that either. So plan where you really want to hustle in this business by deciding the days and the hours that you're going to work. So now I'm going to give you some benchmarks on how you can come to those numbers. It is expected that if you compliantly do 4 appointments a day, and again, this is full time, if you do 4 appointments a day, and you're including also the pre-AEP period, which is October 1 to October 14, you can make presentations during that time. However, you can't actually do the applications until October 15. So assuming that your goal is somewhere between 90 and 114 applications during this AEP, I'm going to give you some benchmarks and tell you how you can really do that. But the first thing you got to know is, and first thing you got to commit to, when are you working? And then the next step we're going to talk about in the next video on how you're actually going to put yourself in the places and how you're going to fulfill those hours so they are productive. So conservatively, everyone who knows their product, knows the carriers that they're working with in their area, knows how to do a presentation, knows how to do a good needs analysis, there is no reason you can't do 100 sales. Some of those may be by phone so that they're recorded, and others may be face-to-face. But let's assume that you're working 7 days a week. You're really full-time. You're going to put all that you have into this. So if you are doing 4 presentations a day, every day for the 57 days that we have, then that means you're going to do 228 presentations. Some of those are going to be one by one. Some might be 6 or 7 at a time. Some might be 2 at a time, but you're doing 4 presentations a day during those 57 days to come to 228 total presentations. And conservatively, I'm going to say you'll probably close 50% of those. When you know what you're doing, your closing ratio will be much higher than that. So if you're closing 50% of those sales and presentations, you have 114. Now, let's say that you're working 6 days a week. And starting with October 1, you're still doing 4 presentations a day. Just kind of remember the number 4 if you're working full time. So 4 a day, and instead of 57 days, because you're only working 6 days a week, you have 49 days. That comes to 196 presentations. It's not unreasonable when you break it down to 4 a day. Just 4 a day. But if you do 4 1 day and you have 4 hours left, don't stop. Don't allow yourself to punch out and go home because you already did your 4. No, keep going for that day. But working 6 days a week, you're going to have 196 presentations. And if you write half of those, that's 98 sales. You're so close to that 100, that magic number. Now, let's say that you're working 5 days a week, which most people do. 5 days a week, you're going to do a total of 180 presentations because you're working 45 days of the 57. And of those 45 days, you're going to close 50%, which would be 90 applications. Now, I know that Thanksgiving is in the middle here, so they're included in some of these days, and some other things may come up. It's football season coming up, so if you got kids that are playing football, you may have to not work a day or take off some of those hours because you got to go to the football game with your kids. I understand that. All of that happens, but these are benchmarks. These are the numbers that you might look at and think about. Your 5 day work week doesn't always have to be Monday through Friday. So if you got those other things that are happening, like that Thursday is Thanksgiving always. It's that Thursday in November. It's when we have AEP. Your 5 day work week that week might be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So you just got to make sense of the whole thing, but you've got to be committed to dates and times. You got to be committed to when you're going to do this and how you're going to go about it. In our next series, in the next video, we're going to talk about how to get there. So if you started the AEP by gathering your names from January of this year, you're already on your way. If you started by gathering the names of the people that you need to contact because you have a book of business, and whether that be 20, 30, 400, 600, those are the people you're going to start with. Those are the people you're going to start with because you need to do the retention first. And the ones that are on your list, that AEP list that you've been building since January 2nd of the year, those were people who had no special election periods. Those may be people who had original Medicare and they missed the deadline for annual enrollment last year, so they couldn't change during OEP. But now they're on your AEP list for this year. Those are the ones you're going to contact first. So 2 things: when you're going to work and how you're going to work and who you're going to get in touch with. Those are the things I want you to focus on first. And this is Faye. I sell Medicare plans. I hope these benchmark and these numbers can help you to know where you need to go, because to get where you want to go, you have to know where you're starting from. So if you're starting with 0, we want to get to 100, we want to get to 90, we want to get wherever we want to get to. Think 4, just 4 per day. This is Faye, and I sell Medicare plans.